Hello, race fans, and welcome once again to another high-octane episode of Trackside, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Document Technologies provides a comprehensive range of managed solutions, including multifunction devices, managed print services, and document management software. They're also known for their fast service, boasting an average response time of 2 hours or less, and offer high-quality product multifunction devices alongside document management and cloud hosting software. Stay tuned, racing enthusiasts, because the action starts right now, right here on Trackside.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Trackside with Randy and Terry and us two guys, and Mr. Mark is back there. I'm Terry Turner. Right there is Randy Dye. Randy, I just wanted to address something really quickly. I got a picture this morning from one of your sales staff. I'm not going to tell you their name. And it was a picture of you with your head on your desk like you were sleeping. So my question is, because you're not traveling for the past couple of weeks, you feel like you can sleep on the job, or what's going on there?
I can promise you that's not... that would not be what I do in my office, that's for sure. But it is unusual, I will tell you, to be with you, and on the phone from Florida on a Friday evening it's odd. It's very, very, very odd. Don't really know what to make of it, for sure.
Well, okay, real quickly. You know, Danica is always right on top of things. She says, if you don't know what to make of it, don't make too much because you're back to work next week.
Well, let me say this. I would tell you that I probably have really worked a lot over the last couple of weeks, but I haven't traveled, and that is different. It's almost like withdrawal. I don't know. I don't know what to say. The last experience wasn't exactly the best. Trying to get back from Dallas, from Fort Worth, it was unfortunate. I think we talked about. I don't know if we did talk about it, but probably we didn't actually.
No.
We hustled to the airport. My grandson was getting baptized on Sunday, and it was tough trying to get back. And there was one way to get back, and we left Dallas Fort Worth Airport late because they were allowing people to get on the plane, and unfortunately the plane in Charlotte left before we got on it, even though the door was open. And the sign said they were still boarding. We were not permitted to get on the plane. So I had to rent a car and drive through the night. Got into Daytona about 10 minutes to 7 Sunday morning. And
nice.
Took about an hour's worth of a nap and got up and went to church and watched my grandson get baptized, which was well worth whatever inconvenience I went through, for sure.
Well, you didn't want to miss that. There's no doubt. You know what, Randy? It's interesting about church on Mother's Day weekend. Obviously, it's packed. I'm an usher at my church, and we got 2 services and pack. But lots of people being saved with the 2 services. How about this? 36 people baptized, and obviously, they confirmed that they have been saved, et cetera. But 36, and most of them were young people, 12 to 24. So
yeah.
There are some good things going on in the world, isn't there, Randy?
Yeah, I think sometimes the definition of news oftentimes takes on a negative. News has to be negative, and I don't really believe that. But if you aren't careful, that's the way you'll start to think. Because the only thing you hear about is what's wrong. But I can tell you that there's a lot of right, and and there's a lot of good going on, and there's a lot of great people doing a lot of wonderful things, and fortunate, I think we're fortunate to be able to recognize that, experience it, help promote it, just good stuff all around, for sure.
You better believe it. Well, how about our number 10 Xfinity driver, Daniel Dye? He's a little bit of time off. You're getting to see him a little bit and actually, talk to him and so on and so forth. Is he enjoying the time off?
Yeah, we've had a good time. He's got to decompress a little bit. There's been some stuff going on, some changes in his team a little bit, and he and I've got to do some fishing, and then we went out and did some range shooting, and he's a Disney fan. He loves to go to Disney, so he does that. I'm not as big a fan of Disney. I can take it once about every 47 years, and he could take it about 3 times a week. So there's a difference. And I'm not anti-Disney. That's just not my idea of a great time anymore.
Yes, I get it. I'm with you.
But I will say he's racing tomorrow night. Actually, believe it or not, they are at Bowman Gray. He's racing at Bowman Gray Stadium tomorrow evening.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
It's the regular program. One of the guys in the shop has I'm not sure what it is. But it's a spec engine class, stock car body, and there's the thing I appreciate about this from this perspective is that Daniel appreciates the history of Bowman Gray Stadium.
Right.
And so, even though he's not running for points, it's not even necessarily a big race, it's just an opportunity to race at one of the most historic racetracks around. And so I think from that standpoint, I'm happy that he's going to be able to go do that. I'm not going to go. He's going to be responsible to text me and keep me in the loop once how things go. I don't expect great things. That place is tough, and when you're going to go there and run against a bunch of people who race there every week, you're probably going to get your butt kicked. But at least you have had the opportunity to race at Bowman Gray Stadium.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. That's one for the books for sure. You know what I thought you were going to tell me? I mean, this is awesome that he's going to Bowman Gray for sure, but I thought that, and speaking of historic and history, et cetera, that you were going to tell me he was going to run a truck at North Wilkesboro on Saturday, but I guess that's not the case. Bowman Gray's great, but I wouldn't mind being there this weekend at North Wilkesboro.
Well, we raced there, and it's a cool place. I think there's a different vibe when you go to some of these racetracks, like North Wilkesboro, Darlington, Martinsville, Talladega, even believe it or not. And I'd say Talladega more than Daytona, because Daytona is. I mean, I love it. I love Daytona. It's my first track I ever went to personally when I was not quite 16. So I love going to Daytona. But
right.
Over the years, Daytona has changed. I don't mean the configuration of the racetrack, but the facilities have changed, and it just continues to become this just crown jewel of racetracks as far as I'm concerned. And that's fine. I'm no complaint. I think it's wonderful. But there's a special feeling of when you go to a Martinsville or to a Talladega, to Wilkesboro, Darlington. Rockingham was amazing. It's just got its own, like, this is the way NASCAR is meant to be kind of feel. And
the roots.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me throw something at you and ask a question, since you are an NASCAR historian, and I'm an old redneck boy from Oklahoma. Can I say that it's obviously being at Daytona many, many times, we've done our show there many, many times, it seems to me, in a word, that Daytona is a little bit more sophisticated than is Talladega. Is that a bad way?
Yeah, that'd be one way of putting it. Yeah.
I fit right in at Talladega.
Me
no
too.
doubt about it. I have to behave myself at Daytona, but that's one way to look at it, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much. Talladega Boulevard, and there's just, that's the point. I think you just crushed it. That's the point. There's certain traditions at some of these places that are just, you just can't. There's just no way to replace it. Just like this coming weekend, the following weekend, we go to Charlotte. Well, that Charlotte is different than the Charlotte that I first attended. And it's beautiful. It's spectacular. It's just a wonderful place, except it's just not the way it was back in the day. And I don't know, maybe it's that. Go ahead.
Talladega, Martinsville, some of those that you've just mentioned, the tradition carries on. Where at Daytona, it changes, or Charlotte, it's different. It changes. And, the older we get, the more we kind of appreciate tradition, don't we?
It's funny. That's just exactly what I was going to say, that, maybe at reaching this stage in life, you tend to appreciate where it all came from. And, there's a certain just cool vibe about being in some of those places that haven't changed that much. And Talladega really hasn't changed that much. And Darlington certainly hasn't changed that much. And Rockingham, my goodness, there's just and I guess for me, as I go to those places and I remember some of those cool old times that we had. So, Pocono is a little bit that way. It's got its own thing. Anybody, if you've never been to Pocono, it's out in the middle of nowhere, and so that in and of itself helps keep it a little bit like it once was. I've shared with you before. I used to live in Northwest Pennsylvania, and obviously Pocono is across the state. I drive across the state, stay in the parking lot, camp out in the parking lot, pack food, and then go into the race to watch the race. That's the way we went to Pocono, and I love that. I love that about the history of some of these places. So,
well, my wife says I live in the past. I had a birthday this week, and you start to realize, I guess, and then we're going to move on, ladies and gentlemen, that in my case, for an example, that the larger portion of my life is what we'd call in the rearview mirror, since we're talking racing. Yeah. And hey, there was a lot of great memories in the past. Not that I live in the past, because I appreciate today as well, but a lot of great things happen. Music, racing, cars, all of those things. So we have to have a broad appreciation. But again, my age, most of it's in the rearview mirror, Andy. That's the way it is.
Well, maybe that's the same thing, because I have a birthday on Monday coming. So maybe that's why we're in this whole nostalgia mode right now. I don't know. So I know I know you're older than me. So I don't know how much older, but a little bit.
I'm 71.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. I'll be 65.
You kids.
Well, I will just hold on a minute here. I just want you to remember something. One of the biggest lies ever told is we'll do this show together for about 6 weeks, and I was a young man when you and I started this deal. So this is your fault.
Neither one of us had one gray hair when we started this show. No doubt about that. Well, we're still having fun, ladies and gentlemen, and we sure appreciate all of you sticking with us for going on 16 years. Mr. Mark, I want to throw out a warning real quick because we're going to get into a special portion. So get out the Perry Mason theme and have that ready to go, please. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll right into the local segment of the Trackside program.
One Daytona, located across from the world's center of racing, is proud to present our local segment, where we talk with a local star in your part of the country following a big win, event preview, and much more. One Daytona in Daytona Beach is a vibrant destination offering an array of shopping, dining, and entertainment options, including unique events and live music suitable for families and individuals alike.
Volusia Speedway Park back in action on Saturday night with the return of the Top Gun Sprint Car Series. Also on the card will be three-quarter modifieds, dirt car UMP modifieds, and factory stocks. New Smyrna Speedway Saturday night with action on the asphalt with Pro Late Model Challenge Twin 50s. You'll see the Hoosier Pro Late Model Twin 50s 1 and 2, Bomber A, Sportsman, and E-Mods. Heat races start at 6 o'clock. Features start at 7:30. The green flag drops at Five Flags Speedway in Pensacola tonight at 8 o'clock with Outlaws, Crown Stocks, Sportsman, and Pure Stocks. NASCAR last weekend at Kansas for the Mother's Day weekend in the Truck Series. Carson Hocevar gets that win, and Kyle Larson gets the Cup win. NASCAR heads to North Wilkesboro on Saturday at 1:30. You'll see the Truck Series on Fox Sports 1. The Cup guys on Sunday. How about an All-Star race? That's at 8 p.m. also on Fox Sports 1. Xfinity guys off again this weekend. We'll be back next Saturday on the 24th at Charlotte. Well, Randy, we had fun talking about the Mother's Day and our moms, etc. last week. It was kind of nice to have the tracks in our area off and celebrating Mother's Day. I think it's a good idea. I mean, with as much as NASCAR's got going on and so many races, they're not able to do it. At least they were off on Easter. But it's nice to have our tracks down for Mother's Day, don't you think?
Oh, I agree. I think, I think that's another thing. As you age, you tend to appreciate what your mother did for you. And so, yeah, I think it's definitely a good thing.
All right. Well, we've got a lot to cover. With that, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and roll right into trucks and some interesting things to talk about. As I say, believe it or not, we're going to have to talk about some penalties as we roll into Cup. But let's do trucks right now.
The Tough Trucks of NASCAR are next up on the agenda, presented by Aaron Delgado and Associates. With over 110 combined years of experience in criminal defense and personal injury, Aaron Delgado and Associates takes pride in vigorously representing clients in various challenging legal situations within the community. Now, let's go trucking.
Randy, we talk a lot, and I just continue to say it's fun to see new sponsors and more. I mean, every week the list is too long for us to even cover it, but every once in a while there's kind of a special one that I like to mention, and this one is the University of North Carolina at Charlotte is on board with Lane Riggs at North Wilkesboro for the race tomorrow in the number 34 F-150 Front Row Motorsports, and this is kind of fun. They're going to be on the car at North Wilkesboro and then again at Charlotte. But the cool thing is that Riggs, the relationship with the university, he kind of is a partner there. He got a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering from the university, while also making his truck debut with Front Row Motorsports, earning the Truck Series Rookie of the Year. So, University of North Carolina, the paint scheme is really, really cool on the truck, and so awesome that sponsors like this get a chance to be on board and even tied to the driver. And again, expanding pool of sponsors continues to grow in our sport.
Well, I think University of North Carolina, there's been several universities that have been on race cars over the course of time. And there's no good reason not to be, as far as I'm concerned. I think that when you're in North Carolina, it makes good sense when you're trying to attract good quality people to your college. You know, if North Carolina's basketball team is on TV, if North Carolina's baseball team is on TV now, you know, with Bill Belichick going to the University of North Carolina's football program, I mean, it just, why not? I think it makes great sense.
Did you say why not? And tied to Bill Belichick. Depends if his girlfriend's going to let him.
Oh, my gosh.
Throw that out there. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm going to let that one go. Go ahead, buddy. Go ahead. Have at it.
Well, you brought it up. I mean, you know, this is.
I brought up
anyway,
that he was going to be the head football coach. I didn't talk about his girlfriend.
Well, but, you know, I mean, that's all we're going to say. That's it. We're not going to say anymore, Randy. Stop. So, with that, B.J. McLeod is going to wheel the Spire Motorsports Chevy at Charlotte next week. And, you know, B.J. McLeod is the driver of the number 78 ZL1 Camaro in the Cup Series. So, he's going to jump behind the wheel of the number 7 Spire Motorsports at Charlotte. That's cool that these guys are getting to do some things like this. I'm sure he'll do well.
I remember B.J. McLeod back years ago, and BJ's probably, I don't know, I'm going to say he's around 40. I remember when he was a 14-year-old kid racing at New Smyrna, and he's done really well for himself. I like BJ's wife; they're good people. And his parents, they were the salt of the earth. So I think that's cool. It'd be interesting to see him race that truck, for sure.
Well, I mean, he has done very well for himself. He's co-owner of B.J. McLeod Motorsports, and Randy hasn't been behind the wheel of a truck since 2021. But obviously, driving in Cup, he's got. I mean, it's a different ball game, but I bet he'll do just fine. It's going to be fun to see him back behind the wheel of a truck.
Yeah, he won a lot of super late model races in the Central Florida and actually up into Georgia, some other places. So a lot of races back in the day. So I think it will be fun. You know, you know for sure that he's got good equipment. That number 7 with Spire Motorsports is always fast, always good. So I'll be rooting for him. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I just wonder, you know, you could give me some perspective, but, you know, a Cup driver, you know, that's driving in the major leagues, et cetera, you know, lots of pressure, points, all the things that they have to deal with, especially in the last couple of races, some of the foolishness. But got to be kind of fun and almost relaxing and a different perspective to get behind the wheel of a truck. Am I just dreaming out loud, or what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think the Truck Series is highly competitive. They race hard. The races are shorter. So I don't know that there's going to be a lot of relaxing going on. And you know, to be quite candid, BJ's stuff was he was an independent racer primarily in the Cup Series. So he didn't have the OEM affiliation, the big team, all the stuff behind him. So now he's going to have a very competitive ride, and everybody knows it. So is he going to go out and try to win? And I know him well enough that I believe he will. So I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of relaxing. I think it's going to be a lot of get with it.
Well, maybe I worded it wrong. Maybe a little bit less pressure, but maybe not. I mean, you've just made a good point, and he does have a great ride, and maybe something to prove. So it's going to be fun to watch that. And welcome back to the Truck Series, B.J. McLeod. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to cover. We're going to come back and, talk a little Mexico City in the Xfinity Series. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Trackside.
Introducing the all-new tractor and outdoor power equipment section at DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors. Now you can gear up for your outdoor projects with premium brands like Bobcat, Massey Ferguson, Shindaiwa, Echo, and more. Need a powerful lawnmower for that perfectly manicured lawn? They've got it. How about a rugged tractor to tackle those big projects? DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has you covered. And let's not forget the Lawn and Garden Center with everything from weed whackers to chainsaws. Commercial or residential, DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors has the goods to keep you moving. So why settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary? Visit DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors today at their new location and explore the thrilling world of outdoor power equipment. DeLand Motorsports and Outdoors, where the thrill of the ride meets the power of the great outdoors. Your journey begins here.
Welcome back to Trackside as we now take a look under the hood in the NASCAR Xfinity Series presented by Daytona's Garage. Daytona's Garage offers more than just standard dealership customization. They provide a comprehensive range of services for personalizing and enhancing cars, Jeeps, and trucks of any make and model, focusing on both aesthetics and performance with affordability. Reliable service. Now, back to Terry and Randy.
Randy, a standout name in our sport, Christopher Bell, is going to be driving for Sam Hunt Racing in the Xfinity Series race at Mexico City. He'll be behind the wheel of the number 24 Mobil 1 GR Supra, and that's going to be happening on June the 14th. Definitely will be happening, and Christopher Bell behind the wheel. That'll be something to see.
You know, this is one of those, I think there's a lot of talk. We've talked about it many times here when Cup guys go down to a different series to race and so on and so forth. And I really, in this particular case, I don't think they should be allowed. And the here's why. The here's why is the series regulars should be, to make that trip. Nobody that's going to make the trip to Mexico City, in my view, should have to go back home without racing. So that's the A. The B is it clearly is going to be a competitive advantage. So NASCAR has this rule against testing, right? And you can't go do independent tests anymore like you did back in the day. There's certain occasions when a tire test occurs that's handled by Goodyear. There's a certain occasion when the OEM wants to have, or when NASCAR wants to have a test and it's OEM based. So that's, but those are organized by the sanctioning body for a specific reason. This, in my view, is the same thing. It's a test. And so I don't like the idea that a Cup driver is going to get the test, even though it's not a Cup car, he's going to get the test on the surface of the racetrack that they're going to race the next day. I think for those reasons, and it may be that they don't end up with a full field in Mexico City, but I would be really frustrated if I was a person who's been showing up at every NASCAR Xfinity race trying to get in and get booted by by somebody who's showing up to basically simply get some extra time on the racetrack.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is interesting. I mean, the whole concept, Mexico City, all this is sort of different and interesting. Let's take an Xfinity driver, number 10, Daniel Dye. How does he feel about something like this?
I think he's probably Daniel's less annoyed by anything than I am. So, but I think he probably feels similar. I don't think that it's not going to bother him as much because he does like to compete with these guys. He does feel like he can learn something, and and it's always a feather in your cap if you do better than a Cup guy, right? When you're an Xfinity guy. So
right.
I think from that standpoint it's okay, but I don't think he particularly appreciates the concept either I think it's unfortunate, in my opinion. I don't like it. But he's kind of like, well, I guess if he can get the ride, then I guess he should be able to do it.
Okay, well, we'll see how it all comes out, and interesting to have that perspective. Yeah, Daniel's pretty laid back, but he has commented on it. We'll see how it comes out. I mean, hey, unusual things happen all the time in our sport, and you just never know what's going to happen. Speaking of unusual, the Chicago Street Race coming up. Xfinity and Cup guys will be running both two races, and Brock Feeney. It looked like these are supercar guys. Looks like he's going to be targeting a start in the Xfinity Series at Chicago, and then Will Brown and Cam Waters are expected to run Cup Series cars in the Chicago Street Race, which is coming up. So supercar guys getting a taste of NASCAR. It's going to be interesting to watch. That's always a big deal in Chicago. I never would have dreamed it, but it's a big deal. Big time attendance. Just hope for good weather.
Yeah, good weather. For sure. That's important. I don't know what to make of it. I've never been to a street race. A sanctioned street race in my life, and this will be my first. So we're going to go out there and see how it goes for sure.
Should we mention the street race that you were involved in our parking lot here at the radio station?
That was a street burnout, man. I mean, what are you talking about? That was a victory lane yeehaw.
I think the black marks are still out there too.
Holy cow, that's a long time ago.
That was a long time ago, no doubt about that. With that, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, Randy. Say it again.
Tell David to get off the wallet and reseal the parking lot.
Like Forrest Gump says, that's all we'll say about that one. There's no doubt about it. I can say a lot. I'm not gonna. I'm just not.
There you go. Okay.
I've gotten more mellow since my birthday this week, Randy. So
there you go. Well, good. Have another chocolate.
Yeah, have another chocolate. Okay, Mr. Mark, you probably want to, as we roll into the Cup segment, you want to have the Perry Mason ready, ladies and gentlemen. And, let's roll right into the Cup segment of the Trackside program.
UniFirst presents Conversation about the NASCAR Cup Series, the pinnacle. In auto racing, just like Cup, UniFirst is also the leader of the pack as the uniform and facility service experts. Let's go back to our hosts, Randy and Terry.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've talked about doing this. I don't know. I kind of threw this at Mark last minute, but we are going to talk penalties. And
there it is.
There. Mark never lets us down. There's Perry Mason right there. Okay, so you know what, Randy? I think you and I both pull for RFK Racing. Brad Keselowski has had a tough time. He's one of the greatest race car drivers ever was, and he's had some goofy things happen. But how about a $75,000 fine, the loss of 60 owner points, the loss of 60 driver points, and 5 NASCAR playoff driver owner points. Crew chief Scott Graves suspended for the next 2 NASCAR Cup Series events through Charlotte Motor Speedway. Okay, front bumper cover. The front fascia may be strengthened on the inner surface with bonded or non-metallic materials in the area contacting the bumper foam and up to 2 inches further in all directions. Apparently, they were found, Randy, that they had more than the maximum 2 inches of reinforcement behind the front bumper foam. It was exceeded. So, there's some adjustment allowed in the nose piece and that bonded nose piece, but there is limit, and they exceeded that. That's a pretty big one. I believe Chris Butcher drops from 12th to 24th, I believe. As tight as it is, he can get back. but this is a pretty big deal, Randy.
Yeah, I think, and if I read it right, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they don't plan to appeal.
You are correct.
Yeah. So they've taken the penalty. So here's the question that you got to ask. Why? What are you expecting to happen? What are you expecting to have happen? What's the gain in this? And then the other thing, this one is interesting to me because it's really, really, really tough to find.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost would have to be. You almost have to be tipped off.
Yeah, that was in the back of my mind, the word tipped off, but like you, a little hesitation in saying that. But yeah, because they were randomly selected to go back through R&D at the center, and they didn't come out with a penalty until late Wednesday. So yeah, it almost seems like typically they're not looking at that too much, but for some reason knew exactly where to go. I don't know. Weird.
Well, I'd like to. So what'll happen? Just so everybody's clear, this weekend, that bumper will be on display. That they'll have it there for everybody to see what was going on and why the decision was made, and why therefore it's wrong. Because if we catch you doing it, it's obviously going to be wrong because we're showing it to you. So I still am trying to understand the advantage that was gained, or the perceived advantage that would be gained. But these guys are serious about these penalties, and when you go from 12th to 24th, you were well inside the playoff cut line in 12th to way outside the playoff cut line in 24th. And it's owner points, it's driver points. I mean, it's the driver himself. And these guys are, they're clawing and fighting to get into that championship. That makes a lot. That's a payday. I mean, that makes the money. So the risk here is really just odd to me.
Yeah, and like you say, just trying to figure out what the advantage would be. I mean, obviously, I don't know about the aerodynamic engineering of the front fascia and, it being further out or more firm or whatever, more down. I don't know. But interesting how it was discovered. And that's a big one. Again, as I said, looking at the number of points dividing all of the guys, it's really tight. I mean, it's tight. So, basically, if he could win a race, well, that kind of fixes it. But you can get back, but still, if I'm Brad Keselowski and, the things that have happened to me in the 6 car so far this year, and now something like this, you got Chris Buescher with, 12th, only one at RFK really doing that well, and then this happened. So, wow. I guess there's goofy things happen even in outside of government and even in sports, Randy. So it is what it is. But I do kind of feel for Brad Keselowski. You look at Brad Keselowski and you look at Kyle Busch, two fantastic guys that have just had goofy things after goofy things happen to them. And, again, we've said many times, or I've said many times, I never thought I'd root for the number 8 with Kyle Busch, but I do. And, admire Keselowski. I've had a chance to talk to him, interview him several times. Unusual individual, but a fantastic race car driver. This is a sad situation.
Yeah, it's tough because I don't really know how much longer Brad Keselowski's going to race. In fact, if you kind of take a look at their circumstance, I mean, they've got their third charter's leased. It's not that Ryan Preece ride is a leased charter. It's not a owned charter.
Right.
So there's a decision that has to be made there, and I question if they really are high on Ryan Preece, then that means that Brad Keselowski's retirement might be much more imminent, and or that they do an independent deal for Brad, maybe more on a limited basis than on a full-time basis. So you got to root for him to have a good year, because there's got to be a decision coming here soon.
Well, and as an owner, I mean, he's got a lot more on his plate than just driving the race car and so on and so forth. Maybe he would be better served just focusing on his team. I mean, you being a historian, and, we've been doing this show a long time, just going back not that long ago, 2000, when the Cat in the Hat, Jack Roush was, up there with the kind of records that we see at Joe Gibbs and Hendrick, and, just a fantastic team. And they've struggled quite a bit, certainly not where they used to be.
I think, this is not going to be a popular position to speak out loud, but, there's three people involved in that organization now, three partners, and, when you have an equity company involved, it's very difficult, because they're looking at things as an investment, and are they making any money, or does it cost the money, does the value of the charter, which is really the value of the franchise, is it increasing? So, whereas like a Rick Hendrick, he's all in every time, all the time, to try to win races, and
right.
And so I don't know. I think this is a tough, in my opinion, it's a very tough model, and so the resources are maybe not as free flowing as there are in some other organizations. So I don't know. I remember. I have a great Jack Roush story. This was before Jack Roush was in NASCAR. He was doing sports car racing, and they were here in Daytona, and I got this phone call, and this was in the 80s, okay? And they needed a windshield for a Mustang. They broke the windshield and didn't have a windshield on the truck. And fortunately, we did have one. I can't imagine why we had one. I kind of was mad at my parts manager that we had one, but we had one. And so Jack Roush's team came over and got a windshield from us, and so they could keep racing in the sports car series. And he was, man, they were phenomenal, by the way. I mean, he set all kinds of records. Jack Roush, to a lot of NASCAR fans, he came out of nowhere. To race fans in general, I mean, he was so good at what he was doing in the sports car world, he had to find something else just to have a challenge.
Right. Well, I would say, and like you've already alluded to, hopefully, because Lasky has a good year, there's definitely probably changes on the horizon, and maybe Brad is not behind the wheel all the time, and he can focus on the team because it needs focusing on. Speaking of focus, Kyle Larson wins the Cup race last week, and guess where he is this week? He's in Indianapolis practicing, getting ready for qualifying, et cetera, for the Indy 500. And Justin Allgaier is going to serve as practice and qualifying driver for Kyle Larson for this All-Star race. And going to be Randy in the background for the Coca-Cola 600. Allgaier will be as well, just in case we have a situation like we had last year. No telling what's going to happen. But Kyle Larson's definitely trying to qualify for the Indy 500. I'm sure he will, and Allgaier is stepping up to the plate, which he can certainly handle it. But they had some rain. I think he started practicing on Tuesday of this week. Yeah, Tuesday. And got some practice in and getting ready, getting used to the number 17 Arrow McLaren Chevrolet. So exciting weekend coming up for the 500 to see Larson, and we'll see if he makes it back for the 600. Meanwhile, if he doesn't, Allgaier will be there to step up.
Well, I think they've NASCAR's taken their position, so he's going to have to get there and start the race if they want to have any. If they want to be, get points, owners' point, all the stuff that goes with it. Driver's points. Owner's points come no matter who's in the car. But I hope he's able to complete both ends. I think that's cool for the sport, for sure. I'd love to see it. It's exciting just to see if he's able to, not only how he ends up finishing, but does it actually happen? That's pretty cool.
Right. Well, it's always interesting to watch him, and there's no telling if it all comes to pass and weather's good and all that. It's going to be exciting to watch. Meanwhile, speaking of watch, All-Star race happening. TNT Sports and Max announced that the NASCAR driver cam is going to be featured on some special guys, and Kyle Larson being one of them, Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, and Joey Logano. Be able to see those guys up close and personal with the TNT Sports Max situation. So pretty cool stuff. Randy, I got some history here for you, and you're hard to beat when it comes to history. Josh Berry and the Wood brothers are going to be at Wilkesboro for the All-Star race, and he is going to be driving the throwback of the Michael Waltrip car that drove to victory. Waltrip drove to victory in 1996. And what was interesting, it was called the Winston Select back then.
Yep.
They just barely qualified for it, but came from the back and won the race. Wood brothers are celebrating their 75 years in the sport. But this is what's interesting right here to me, and for history's sake, you'll like this. 70-lap race, Waltrip drove through the field, taking the lead from Dale Earnhardt in the final segment with 9 laps remaining. He then drove away from the pack, taking the win over Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, and Terry Labonte. So interesting that car will be back with the 21 on the side of it at Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. That's pretty cool.
It's cool, but did you hear what you just said? The
I
names
think
you just mentioned, I mean, holy cow. That's here we go again. I'm going to go down that road, but wow. What a bunch of great race car drivers you just mentioned.
Well, let me throw this out there just one more time. So we all know Waltrip. We know him.
Yeah.
We know what kind of guy he is. What a character. But the cool thing is, I'm going to read it one more time. He drove through the field, taking the lead from Dale Earnhardt in the final segment with 9 laps remaining. He drove away from the pack to take the win over Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, and Terry Labonte. So obviously those guys were up there in the top 5, and he had to. Michael Waltrip beat them all. Wowzer.
Yeah, no, I mean, Waltrip, he's a hoot. I love him. I love to listen to him do the broadcast. I think he's one of the better broadcasters that are out there because he has a great perspective, but he doesn't take himself or even the sport too seriously. He has fun.
Speaking of that, and I miss him being down on pit road before the race, talking about not taking anybody seriously. None of the drivers did he take very seriously. He gave all of them a hard time and joked with them and made me laugh. They don't have him doing that anymore. But I miss that. What a character. He certainly adds color to the broadcast for sure.
Yep.
Randy, Jimmy Johnson's going to run his his 700th start coming up at Charlotte. He won there, 8 times, and is going to be in a very special tribute car for Carvana at that weekend. But 700th start, and in closing, as I've just been told, we're running out of time. Get this one. We talk about it just all the time. The health of our sport, the new sponsors coming on. Amazon is coming up with 5 races starting at the Memorial Day weekend, the Coca-Cola 600. Here's the headline. Amazon nearly sold out all of the ad inventory for NASCAR coverage. How about that?
Yep. I say I'm not surprised. I think to a lot of people, they're still learning about what a great value the NASCAR races are, the loyalty of the fans, the way the leadership of the sport treat its partners and stakeholders is just, I think they're second to none. And so I'm fortunate I get to see those people. I hear the private conversations about how much they value their partnerships and relationships. It's not just a show. Honestly, they are very. I think to me, if I had to describe NASCAR in one word, and only one word, and I had to pick one word, it's authentic.
Yes, it is. No doubt about that. And ladies and gentlemen, with that one word, and that is thank you for being with us again on Trackside. We sure appreciate you here every week with us. And get out and enjoy some racing. The tracks are back rolling in Daytona area this weekend. And we'll see you right here next week on Trackside.
See you at the racetrack, everybody. Happy birthday, Terry.
Hey, buddy. Same to you. Wow. We still look young, don't we?
And with the checkered flag waving, we're wrapping up this week's edition of Trackside. Fear not, race fans, because we'll be back next week, proudly presented by Document Technologies. Tune in for a fresh new episode packed with engaging interviews, captivating conversations, and all the exhilarating moments you've come to expect. Until then, keep the racing spirit alive, and we'll see you next time on Trackside.